before starting, I would like to say that at Montreal we have a chair, where is in this chair you can find our information in seria.ca, where we do research about aging, health, and pensions. We focus on Canada, but we also do works about other countries, like the US and other countries. Now, I will start to talk about retirement and cognitive function. This is a joint paper with Ari Captain and Gemma Zamarro. Yep. The literature on cognition is very large in other sciences like neurology or psychology, but the literature on the effect of retirement on cognition function has attracted economists' attention during the last decade. There are many reasons why the topic is interesting. These can be two of the key reasons. The prospect of understanding of the effect of prolonging working life at older ages on well-being. Also, if employment status were to have an effect upon cognition, the implication for policy making will differ depending on the duration of this effect. Can be positive, negative. If staying longer in the labor market is thought to be protected of memory capacity, encouraging workers to stay longer in the labor market will ensure the financial sustainability of the pension systems, could reduce important health costs, for example, in the long-care health expenditures, could affect financial decisions, in particular saving decisions, and could affect well-being and quality of life at later ages. In our study, conclusion? No, I am slow, but no. In our study, we discuss and reanalyze results obtained in a number of papers that relate retirement to cognition function. These papers use the same kind of data set. Some studies, they use one data set, HRS, others they use the free of ones, and that this is the HRS for US, ELSA for England, and SHARE for Europe. These data sets are in common that they have harmonized data. Then these studies can compare similar cognitive function variables, and also the determinants of conditions. The other variables are very harmonized. Then it's a good data set to do this kind of comparison. We focus on cognitive function known as fluid abilities. Fortunately, I have other speakers before to motivate all the cognition variables. Then I don't need to do deeply, but just to mention that we will focus, and this reviewed paper focus, in a particular fluid abilities, that is the episodic memory. Why? Because, as they said previously, there is a consensus in the literature where episodic memory declines with age. The common theme for all these papers, that they have several common things, but one of them is that they use the same measure, that is the recall summary score, that you can arrive to a maximum of 20 words. They sum two indicators: questions about immediate word recall, that they interview about a list of 10 nouns, normally it's common nouns, as for example, car, army, lake. And the respondent, they need to respond how many words they recall immediately. 5 or 10 minutes later, depending on the survey, the individual asks to recall the same words, and this is also a score of 10. Then the sum of the recall from the immediate and delay, they sum this indicator for 20 maximum. As you could see, why is up? I know now. It's because there is something here. Yeah. Now, just to mention a bit where the literature is, they do very documentation about the relationship between cognitivity and other determinants. We already mentioned the age. The cognitive ability decline with age. But there are also demographic variables, as for example, gender or marital status, that are correlated with cognition. There are also several studies that they emphasize in the importance to take into account childhood experience and parental background. And genetic, too. There are also a relation with genetic. Health status, that we mentioned previously, is also may studied as a correlation with cognition. Behavioral variables that our previous speaker talked about. But also there are some evidence that education activities, social activities and physical activities, and occupation, that is the main topic that we develop later, could affect an individual's cognitive reserve. The cognitive reserve describes the mind's resistance to the damage of the brain. Here you have, in this figure, the average of the sum of these two immediate and delayed scores for memory. And as you can see, you can see from the 20 words that they can recall, the average for all countries don't go more than 12. You can also look that the summary score for retired individuals is lower in all countries than the score for the workers. Then this is something that is important. Just mention that this is the average for age to 60. Yes. Then this is that the reviewed papers try to deep in why there are these low scores for retired individuals and compared to the workers. And this paper used similar measures of cognitive functioning. In particular, they focus on the previous explaining immediate and delayed recall abilities. They use one or more data sets, and all of them, they find that there is a negative relationship between retirement and cognitive functioning. But, however, the relationship between cognition and retirement is important, but is not the full story. The important thing is the causal effect between retirement and cognition. I don't know why is it. Why? Individuals with a cognitive impairment for reasons unrelated to work may want to retire sooner than others. In that case, the effect could run from cognitive functioning to retirement in a state of the other way around, as we talked previously. There are also effects that might vary by occupation, because there are occupations that involve more physical effort than others. And it's important to disentangle what these occupation effects make on cognition. Common factors as preference or health will affect both retirement and cognitions. Then this is also important, and don't mention that there are also unobserved heterogeneity. Then studies that want to deep in this relationship to do good policy need to take all these factors, all these issues also into account. In fact, the studies that we review have attempted to disentangle the causal mechanism by using possible sources of exogenous variation in retirement. They analyze the effect of retirement on cognition using instrumental variables approaches. They use similar instrumental variables. That is because that we decide to do this review and compare all these countries and most of them they use the eligibility age for early and the full pension benefits. This is a picture of all the 9 paper reviewed with a different data set, but this is in the next slide that I will summarize the results. In fact, I know that policymakers, they want the answer, but unfortunately, there is not a clear consensus in the literature. Richer specifications, they have different sizing estimations of the and significance of the parameters. And some of the papers, they find a negative effect, causal. We talk now about causal negative effect of retirement on cognitions. Other positive, normally the papers that they find a positive effect is when they disaggregate by occupations. Then they do different models for different occupations groups. And others, they don't find any effect. Our result that we do is to try to disentangle how we can reconcile all these findings. That we do is to replicate using the same data set with the same variables, but we replicate all the approaches that they did, and we extend our study to do, for example, to 2004, 2012, and we pull all the data, all the countries, but we do also surveys separately. And this is our results. When we control by aging, just by aging, and now we are talking about approach with causality approach, always the retainment has a negative effect on cognitive function. However, when we start to add more variables, that means gender, country dummies, country dummies, or health, then we find lower estimations effects. Other interesting result is that outcomes are very sensitive to econometric specifications, to the methodology used. In particular, the use of country fixed effects tends to reduce the estimated effect of retirement and cognition dramatically. Then this is something very important. We also try to see, okay, we go too deep. It seems that there is a consensus in aging. We want to see what happened with heterogeneity. Then just to mention is, for example, the average recall of memory for men is the 9.6 words, while for women is 10.4. And this is quite stable for the period study. If we do our regressions modeling separately men and women, we find, for example, that with an instrumental variable fixed effects and approach that control for causality and for observed heterogeneity, estimates are statistically insignificant. While when we do for women, these estimates are negative and mostly significant, even when we correct by country fixed effect or we add all the covariates that we can imagine. Other heterogeneity that we need to take into account is the occupation. We look at two kinds of occupation groups, definitions. One that we want is to capture the physical demanding occupation. Just to have an idea, the average of the memory score for the physical demanding jobs is the people in these jobs recall about 10 words. Think that the maximum is 20 and the average for country is 12. And for the individuals that they work with less physical demanding jobs, the recall is 11. When we do again the model separately for both groups, that we find is that once we control for country fixed effect and apply instrumental variable estimation, the effects for both groups become generally insignificant. Then, what is the road ahead, or what you can learn from our work? First, we know that it's likely that retainment has a negative effect on cognition function. But, however, we know much less about the size of this effect and which group to target in our policies. And this is the bad news. But we are pretty sure that after all the regression, after all the review, there are negative effects. But now, we need to think who are the target groups that we need to deep. To conclude, we have reviewed the empirical literature on aging and cognition function. Apparent upshot of our work is the results found in the literature are very sensitive to the methods used and vary a lot between subgroups. Then, thank you very much.